So Chaos Zero Nightmare is a gacha game that I've been wanting to play kind of for a while now. That's really only because I always see ads on this game everywhere. I've been getting them all the time on my TikTok feed or Instagram of people just kind of going like, you should download this game. It's incredible. So that's what I did. And naturally, I started playing it for a while just so I can kind of grab a better feel of the game and how it plays. And to be honest, I was genuinely quite surprised at how the game actually was in terms of quality. But I want to review this game like how I review any other gacha game or rhythm game for that matter. So with that, let's get started on the story. You start the story by being woken up in a medical bay, presumably out of a coma, since it seems the majority of your memories have been lost. After that's been discussed, you start to have what seems like most likely a flashback where you meet all of your other comrades. You meet Ray, Owen, and Mika. Shortly after meeting them, you run into a couple of beasts along the way, and after swiftly defeating these beasts, you are hit with another wave of unease. This causes the others to be concerned about your well-being, and even choosing to end the mission here if you wish. However, like the commander and leader that you are, you continue and press on. After getting into another battle with these unidentified enemies, you are then brought back to the med bay again, woken up in a daze as Eleni and Maria are incredibly concerned about your memory. You yourself are the Imperial Central Command, Protoss Operation Division, Arkainen, I think that's how you say it, 6th Fleet, and captain of the Chaos battleship SS Nightmare. After you've confirmed these details, your condition is just kind of casted to the side as a form of short-term memory. Alright then. However, that's not the end of the bad news, as the operation that you are having flashbacks about, codename Operation Blue Pot, was a complete and total bust, with one of your combatants, Ray, being severely injured and being held in the medical bay for trauma. Not only that, but the vice captain, Ranoa, has also gone missing, and this was largely due to saving you that she was left behind. To shed a little bit more light on what chaos is, it is known in game as a cosmic disaster that of course struck for whatever unknown reason and takes the form of a black fog. This consumes planets and distorts the environment along with any life forms present as well. You also heard me mention the codename Blue Pot. This is pretty much just a location on Earth with another nickname called the birthplace of humanity. It's known to be riddled with an incredible amount of unidentified monsters, and they're kind of just doing whatever the hell they want roaming around this place. The captain, which is you, even tell yourself, there probably shouldn't even be this many here, essentially. But whatever. Anyways, with that story out of the way, I didn't really get too deep into it because, in my opinion, it's just kind of okay. We're just going to skip right to the gameplay, which is definitely this game's strong point. As for the gameplay in Chaos Zero Nightmare, which I'm just going to start referring to as CZN because I don't feel like repeating that name many times, is another roguelike deck building game. Those are two very different genres apparently. Don't use the wrong one, people will shame you for it. Now, what I found very cool about the game is that every stage kind of always feels different. Coming from a replayability standpoint, that's an incredible thing to have. Now, since it is another roguelike game, it has the usual AP points to draw cards, as well as the deck building aspects as well. And you also get your ultimates, which they refer to as ego, after building enough points. These ego points can be used for your combatants or your combatants' partners. The partners are more like off-field characters who are for the most part kind of just there either for stat bonuses or just a little bit more damage on the side. Some of them give you some shields and heals as well. You can get them just through regular pooling, as some of these actually tend to be 3 stars. They're kind of just this game's way of having a weapon system, honestly. CZN has plenty of different game modes to keep you occupied as well, although the primary one that you're most likely going to be playing is called Chaos. This is where you'll be going through the map yourself, choosing set paths on different nodes, and reaching the final boss. Also, Chaos is the mode where you're going to be collecting a lot of your character's cards. So realistically, it's a game mode you should be playing just to get a stronger character in the long run and take him into different simulations. Now, going back to the nodes, there's a bunch of different ones that can be easily identified through their respective logos, starting of course with the normal battle, elite battle, unidentified zones, safe zones, shops, and waypoint areas. A normal battle is where low-grade monsters appear, and clearing these gives you a certain amount of credits as a reward. Elite battle areas are where huge high-grade monsters appear. After clearing these, you are actually rewarded a lot more in the form of equipment, and there's a very small, slight chance that you can receive the monster's card as well. Up next, we have unidentified zones. These are a bit more random, but they're pretty much just random events placed across the map. Up next, we have safe zones, which is pretty self-explanatory. This is just a place to rest and recover HP and get rid of some of these stress levels that your characters have built up. The safe zones also include shops that you can spend some credits on, along with a training center. Now, you have a choice to either rest or train when you enter the safe zone. While resting is pretty useful and recovers some HP along with stress, I highly recommend that you just train instead, since you're going to be able to get a lot more value, and if your characters are healthy, there's really no point in resting anyways. This will just make the rest of the run a hell of a lot easier as you go through. And finally, we have the waypoint areas. This is pretty much where you're going to be saving your data for the entire run, with all the equipment you have and the deck that you're currently equipped with. Very useful. Now, there's a lot that makes CZN a little bit different compared to its other roguelike counterparts. Compared to something like Mormon's or Reverse 1999, a lot of people tend to bring up the stress management. So pretty much all of your characters have a stress gauge. This will gradually start to fill up as they start taking more damage. Now, if the stress gauge does happen to be fully filled, the combatant will suffer what is called a mental breakdown. This will decrease the amount of max HP your team has, and you'll be forced to play these breakdown cards in order to get rid of the effects. So let's say you theoretically complete a run, but as you finish, your combatant was still affected by the mental breakdown. Then they will be sent to the med bay or the Epion Center, I think, where you can choose to either give them therapy or erase all the data that you collected during your run, which is a pretty hard choice. Now, there's a lot to go through, like a lot more to go through in terms of gameplay. I just really wanted to clear up the chaos mode, to be honest. But I'm just going to make the rest of this really quick with some simple explanations so that this video doesn't end up being too long in the first place. As for other game modes, we have Sortie, where the combatants you receive are random. A lot of people would describe this as the true roguelike mode, where you build your team and your entire deck from scratch, and of course you will be pitted up against very difficult enemies as well. Simulations. After this, we have the simulation tab. This includes 4 other different modes within it, starting off with combat training. This is where you'll be getting all of those juicy level up materials, either for partners, combatants, memory fragments, which is the artifact system by the way, and pretty much everything you need here to level up with the cost of your energy. Basin of Hyperspace. This is where you're going to be needing 2 teams in order to enter. This is highly considered endgame content, where you go through multiple different stages, ranging from easy to hard difficulty, depending on how far up you go. Spiral Tower of Screams. This is more permanent endgame content, where you'll be running a super fun and enjoyable 150 floor gauntlet, with enemies who only get more difficult as you go to make you suffer. This is unlocked at level 45. Full Scale Offensive, which just lets you have 3 teams, just to fight off some previous bosses that you've already encountered in the story and in game. This is unlocked at level 40. And finally, with all that gameplay out of the way, we can finally move to the most important part of any gacha game to begin with, the gacha system. Woo! So since the pooling rates are they're not hard to understand, but it could be a little confusing. So I'm going to try and explain it the best I can. So get ready. 5 stars. Now, to pull a 5-star character, you only have a 1% chance on the get-go. Now, with some pity, this percentage is shot all the way up to a whopping 2.14343% chance of getting a 5-star. These are the base probabilities for getting a 5-star pool within one pool to 57. Once you pool for the 58th time, so anything after 57, yeah, this is increased by 4.5% for every pool after the fact. And this is done up until you reach a total of 69 pools, because on the 70th pool, you are guaranteed a 5-star. So that means there's honestly a pretty good chance that you're going to get your 5-star before you even reach a max pity, which is kind of nice. However, let's say you also lose the 50-50, since there's a 50% chance that you get the rate up banner character, and the other 50 meaning you don't. Think of the 70th pool as starting the process all over again. So when you hit 71 pools, your chances already drop down to that baseline percent of 1. And that means your next 5-star character will be guaranteed on your 140th pool, 4 stars. The base for a 4-star appearing is 6%, with a total probability of 12.98314. Now, the base probability on 4 stars stays the same regardless of the pool count, with at least 1 appearing for every 10 pools, with a rate up 4-star having a 50% chance of showing up 3 stars. Now, these really I don't care about too much since they're always going to be weapons anyways, but we'll go over it nonetheless. So the chance of pulling a 3-star is actually 93%, with the base probability actually getting lower the more you pull. So 3 stars work kind of the opposite way that 5 stars work. After your 58th pool of a 3-star, your chances actually decrease by 4.5% and then resets when you hit 70 or when you get your 5-star. Now that we're done with these big and odd and weird numbers, we can move on to the next topic. The quality. Now, to be honest, I think the reason why CZN surprised me so much was because my standards were honestly pretty low from the get-go. I mean, like I said before, I only really started to play the game when I saw a bunch of ads being played on TikTok and Instagram being directed towards me. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for the people that make these ads and are actually being paid to do it, I don't know. Everything they say always sounds so forced, like you'll hear them going like, yeah guys, this game is incredible, and we should all be playing it. Anyways, besides that, I was actually really surprised with the game's quality. I mean, man, the way it feels and plays, it's actually really nice. The story is kind of just okay. It's not really something that I was focusing on too much after a while. The beginning was great, I thought it wasn't that bad, but you can definitely tell that wasn't their focus point for this game to begin with, to be honest. I mean, the way the game plays is honestly just so much fun that I actually had to download it on my phone just so that I can play at work and give a more concise review. So when I first started playing, I actually didn't realize that the studio behind this was also the one behind Epic 7, which I was also bothered to play constantly by my other Gacha gaming friends, and I never really got into the game, to be honest. The only reason why I really wanted to was just because of how high quality the game looked and was. I've genuinely been enjoying my time playing this game so far. Not only that, it's something you can kind of hop on and play for a good amount of time as well. And just like any other gacha game, sure, it has an auto battler, and to be honest, it's not even that bad either. It doesn't really make a whole lot of mistakes like some other auto battlers I've seen that are on roguelike games. But when you enter the chaos mode, this auto battler is completely turned off, and that's when this game requires your full attention and working brain cells just to play it. So by no means is this just a game that you can do, I'll just put it on my second monitor. And sure, some of the character designs can be a bit questionable, but it could also be way worse compared to other games that I've played or am going to be playing, so look out for those. A wink, a wink. But yeah, like I was saying, it is a lot more tame, but I also have a privacy screen on my phone just so that people don't see me playing games like this in public. Definitely do recommend. But it's also not a game that I would just consider like straight up goon. It's more of perhaps you could call it tasteful fan service in a way. Anyways, it's time that I give my final numbers and rating, so let's get to it. The feel. And with all that glazing pushed past me, here comes just a little bit more. The feel and the way you progress through the game and the different maps, especially through chaos mode, even just picking cards from the deck and watching the alt animations, everything is so sharp and smooth. This category is easily going to get a 5 in my book. Presentation and polish. The presentation of the game, due to the studio being Smilegate and their high quality ways, the presentation of the game is also great. The menu and the UI feels nice and snappy. I didn't find myself really getting lost in all of the menus either, and the art quality is incredibly good as well, with not even losing its sharpness when I was playing on my 1440p monitor. So that means the fall off for the resolution isn't really that noticeable. The music is okay. I mean, it's not like noise pollution or anything, but it kind of just chills in the background, so it's not really going to hurt it anyways. For the score, that's going to have to be a 5. Economy. Now, if there is something to not get a high enough rating, it's probably definitely going to be this. I mean, son, getting credits is, it's okay. I never really had an issue there. But energy being capped at 240 reminds me of the days when Genshin had a resin cap of 120. Which honestly I wouldn't have too big of a problem with, but also being stingy with the amount of ether or energy capsules that you give to the player is just kind of mean. So that kind of makes the whole process of farming for characters, even just one, absolutely abysmal. Pooling is okay. I never really had too much of an issue there. I mean, they give you a bunch of free pools, and getting the gems for it isn't really that bad either. It's definitely a little harder compared to some other gacha games that I've been playing, but since the pity isn't really that high and is only at 70, it's not that bad, to be honest, and it kind of balances it out. Narrative and world building. No, listen. So the story started off kind of just sort of okay, but then somehow I just couldn't take it anymore. I don't know how something just falls off so hard to the point where I don't even care about the story just in general. You could easily tell that this just wasn't a point that they were focusing on in this entire game. I mean, don't get me wrong, the gameplay is fun, but if I had a good story to go with it, it would just kind of bring the rating up a lot higher in my book. I mean, I'll probably still be reading a little bit of the story from time to time if it looks like it's getting interesting, but to be honest, I highly doubt that will ever be happening. So this category is getting a 2. Longevity. Now, this game came out nearing the end of October of 2025. That's honestly not really that long ago, as they're kind of in their half anniversary point. And yet, with this, I still feel like there's a lot of endgame content that I'm getting right now. And with the Chinese servers launching in May of 2026, I'm sure that there's a lot more updating to come as well. But also taking into consideration that these guys made Epic 7 and that community is honestly still pretty strong and thriving, I have pretty high hopes for this game as well while I keep playing it. So honestly, I think I'm just going to be nice and give this rating a 5. So that brings our grand total to a 20 out of 25 points. I mean, at least it still beats Echopocalypse in a way by another 5 points, so it's not that bad. And that's definitely a more gooner game, but it's okay. But anyways, I do probably intend to keep playing this game a little bit more. I did download it on my phone after all, which for me is a pretty big privilege to have as a mobile game, since I'm hardly ever on my phone at all. But since there's also a PC client, it makes it a little bit easier for me to hop on every now and then. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know. If you have any other gacha game that you would like me to review, or rhythm game for that matter, since I'm starting to get into that as well, it'd be cool if you just leave a comment. But to be honest, that's really about it. So if you guys have played Chaos Zero Nightmare at all, let me know your thoughts of the game as well. It'd be cool to just kind of read them out. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night, or weekend, or whatever. Take care. Bye-bye.